Hey guys, Coaster Directed coming at you with a coaster battle between Goliath and Outlaw Run. Goliath located at Six Flags Great America, Outlaw Run located at Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri. These are the two current wooden coasters in RMC's overall lineup. There will be two more coming in the 2016 season, Lightning Rod and Wildfire. So let's get started, shall we? First up, we have the height. Outlaw Run is just over 100 feet. That does not seem that much, but when it comes to the drop, yes, it will seem a lot better. But anyways, and Goliath is a nice, great 160 feet. So obviously, this is based off the stat alone. Goliath will win this just based on the pure stat. Next up is the drop. This one is actually very comparable. We have, first up, this is overall how good the drop is and how long it is and just the general feel of the drop. Goliath has an 85-degree drop. That is the steepest of any wooden coaster, and it is a 180-foot drop. Whereas Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City has an 81-degree foot drop and a 165-ish foot drop. The drop on the extra 4 degrees makes its drop seem a lot steeper. It seems near vertical, or it seems pretty much vertical. And I like the drop on Goliath a lot more than I do the one on Outlaw Run. I do like the drop, however, on Outlaw Run. Don't get me wrong, I just think the drop is really, really good on Goliath, especially due to the fact you dive into an underground tunnel. Next up is the speed category. Another one where Goliath will easily take because it is the fastest wooden coaster in the world at over 80 miles per hour. So this is a pretty obvious one. 3-0. Next up we have the smoothness. Even though Outlaw Run is older, it still, in my opinion, is the exact same smoothness. These things are glossy smooth, super smooth, not B&M smooth. At this point, not B&M smooth, but they are extremely smooth, especially for wooden coasters. Next up is the airtime on this. In my opinion, Goliath only has one really good spot of airtime. 2 if you count the first drop. And it's that hill as soon as you get out of the overbank turn going into the dive loop. Whereas in Outlaw Run, you have a lot more places to expect airtime, and in really weird places, honestly. You get a lot on those bank turns and everything. So I will be giving the point to Outlaw Run. Up next are the inversions. Both of these have 2 inversions, and they are just fantastic overall. Outlaw Run has the dual barrel rolls at the very end of the ride, and Goliath has a dive loop, the very first dive loop on a wooden coaster, and a 0G stall, which is an absolutely fantastic element. It is so much fun. So I will be giving the points to Goliath. Length and duration. I didn't take this overall based in the feet of the track. I based this out of the duration of the ride once it gets off the lift hill and into the drop and into the final part of the ride. Overall, Goliath lasted for about 40 seconds, whereas Outlaw Run lasted for 43 seconds. So I will be giving the point to Outlaw Run. Next up is the theming. Goliath has some decent theming for a Six Flags park. It's nowhere perfect at all. It's actually pretty sparse. Train looks absolutely fantastic. The train is absolutely gorgeous. The spiel, the automatic spiel, is really good as well, where it's like conquering Goliath. You're a gladiator fighting Goliath and everything. And other than that, there's not much theming to it. Whereas Silver Dollar City with Outlaw Run does a really good job theming it. The station fits right in place with the Western theme. The whole sounds and everything where you're trying to escape from the outlaws and keep the stagecoach from being robbed or whatever, that's pretty good. and it has a spiel before you get off the ride saying, good, like, oh, you escaped the outlaws or whatever. It's honestly pretty good, and with the overall terrain and wooded areas of Silver Dollar City, it just looks fantastic. It is a beautiful coaster, and the theming overall is pretty good. So I'll be giving the point to Outlaw Run. Next up is the intensity. This one, in my opinion, is actually pretty hard. The wave turns on Outlaw Run are fantastically intense, and they're awesome. However, I will have to give this to Goliath. This ride is super intense, and it's... that first drop, it just completely takes your breath away. The overbank turn, fantastic. Some serious ejector airtime on that first hill, and that 0G stall is amazing. In my opinion, it's just super intense. Don't get me wrong, Outlaw Run is still extremely intense. However, I just think that Goliath is slightly more intense. Layout, overall, Goliath has a pretty simple twister layout, and it just goes back over itself, and it's not that impressive, and it's not that unique. It fills in a very specific narrow spot, whereas in Outlaw Run, it's actually a very nice spread out coaster in kind of a 8 formation, where it crosses under itself and forms it seems a little bit like a number 8 or something like that. Overall, I'd have to give the layout to Outlaw Run because it's just a little bit more interesting than the narrow, long Goliath shape. 6-5. And the winning by 1 point is Goliath. Overall, fantastic coaster. Both of these are in my top 3, Goliath being my number 1, and Outlaw Run being my number 3. Overall, Goliath is absolutely fantastically intense. It's super fast, and it's just the 0G stall on that thing is fantastic. The drop, absolutely amazing. In my opinion, fantastic wooden coaster. Both of these honestly are, but I would have to give it to Goliath any day, in my opinion. But that is just me. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And as always, keep coasting.